Hello everyone, Fanta here, you're watching FANTAVISION, and today we're going to be discussing a rumor that's going around that apparently Horizon Zero Dawn is getting the remake treatment. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of tired of the remakes, because we all know that this is going to be a remake that is $70, and I mean, why? It's not that old. It's a 5-year-old game, and yet we're going to get a remake? Now, again, this is just rumor and speculation, but let's just pretend that this is going to happen, because again, this is Sony, and lately, that's just what they've been doing. They've just been doing re-releases and remakes and remasters of previous titles. I mean, they forced us to pay for the remaster of Ghost of Tsushima. Thankfully, if I remember correctly, Spider-Man was a free upgrade, but there were a lot of games that they're looking back at that were popular that they're looking to capitalize on and make money again. The Last of Us 1 remake just came out, and again, that's what I'm going to base most of what I'm talking about on right now, because that's the most recent example of what Sony does with a remake, and that is, yeah, it's going to look great, it's going to be more accessible, those two things are great, but to me, they don't justify a $70 price tag. You're going to be hard-pressed to find anything that justifies a $70 price tag, to me at least, but especially a remake when I feel like the PlayStation 5 needs new games. People that have been wanting to play Horizon Zero Dawn, you can play Horizon Zero Dawn. That's not like a difficult game to play. It didn't age poorly. I mean, it's on the PC now with upgraded frame rates and everything else that comes along with being a PC port. So why would they do that? I don't quite understand. I'm assuming that The Last of Us 1 remake sold well, if they're actually thinking of doing this again, or they just had this planned along with Last of Us 1 remake because it does take a while to do these things, and they just want to pump out as many of these remakes as possible while the PlayStation 5 is still somewhat fresh in our minds, especially since a lot of people are getting it as a new system. 2 years later, it's new to people because it's been such a pain in the ass to find. Some people might argue that maybe it's so people can experience it for the first time, but you can play PlayStation 4 games in the PlayStation 5, and the PlayStation 4 sold so many systems that doesn't really work out either. This isn't a Wii U to Switch situation where almost every popular game from the Wii U got ported to the Switch, unfortunately without any changes, because Nintendo doesn't do anything when they do ports. But when Nintendo did that, it made sense because the Wii U was unfortunately a failed console. The PlayStation 4 wasn't. So it's very strange to see this happen again with a very recent property. If you guys want to really add more things to the game, sure, just do an update. Add these accessibility changes through an update. They don't need a full remake that's $70 in order to do that. Now, there is one thing that they are thinking of adding. This is, again, speculation, rumor, but apparently when they were first making Zero Dawn, they wanted there to be a multiplayer mode, which I think would be awesome. Supposedly there might be some co-op stuff going on, maybe some PvP, and that, you're changing it a little bit, okay? You're making it a little bit more worth the money, but still, in my opinion, $70 isn't even close to what an old game should be. Just like how Elder Scrolls Skyrim Anniversary Edition is $70 on the Switch. I wanted to make a video on it, but you know what? I'm just going to throw it in this video. Screw it. Should not be $70 if it's an ancient-ass game. If it's a brand new title, you're still, it's gonna be hard. You're gonna be hard pressed to make me ever say $70 is a great price tag now. Tell me all you want about inflation and all that other BS. I don't care. You have to justify that price tag. What are you bringing new to the table that is justifying that new price tag? And a lot of these games are not doing it. Especially, now, Sony, thankfully, doesn't cram their games full of microtransactions, but all those other games out there, you're going to be hard-pressed making that argument when they're full of microtransactions. But, I mean, we can say, at least Sony doesn't do that, and Sony's not going to put microtransactions in this remake, which would be $70 if they were to release it. But it is an old game, and I feel like the price of games goes down. You can get Horizon Zero Dawn Game of the Year Edition for like 10 to 15 to 20 bucks constantly. Like, it's in that price range all of the time. So it's just like Last of Us 1. Was that really worth $70? To some people, it will be. And I know SkillUp had the whole oh yeah, I love RoboCop, so I'm going to spend a shitload of money on like the 4K remaster. I mean, that's fine. You know, I'm not telling you you don't have to spend your money. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm just saying it doesn't seem like the value proposition is there for most people that aren't super fans of this series, which honestly, I don't know anybody that's a super fan of the Horizon series. I've always heard that it's pretty good. You know, the graphics are amazing in the new one, from what I've heard. The combat is great. Story is not so great. And that's kind of it. Whereas Last of Us, if you really want to think about it, it made a lot more sense just because The Last of Us does have super fans. The Last of Us was written well. The Last of Us was a magical experience for a lot of people. And this was their 4K re-release. And people were happy to pay that $70 if that series meant a lot to them. But this, it seems like a strange title when there are other games that developer has created that people would be a lot more interested in. I mean, Guerrilla Games made Killzone. Do you know how many people would lose their minds if they remade the Killzone trilogy? People would be ecstatic. You wouldn't have this questioning of whether it's worth $70. People would be losing their minds and going, you get 3 games? Oh, I can't wait to play these. I never got to play the first one. It was on PS2. I didn't have a PS2 at the time. There'd be so many different reasons for people to pick up a Killzone 1 through 3 remake. Whereas a 5-year-old game that was pretty good and suffered in sales because it came out at the same time as Zelda, just like the second one kind of went through the same thing because it launched around Elden Ring. It just seems like a questionable choice. That's all, you know. I mean, it would be nice to see the multiplayer mode, but it'd be great to have that. Just go the Ghost of Tsushima route. If you really want to release the multiplayer mode, please do it. I would love to see it co-op, multiplayer PvP. That would be amazing. It seems like a game that is screaming for some sort of co-op action just because it's very reminiscent of Monster Hunter, in my opinion, when it comes to the combat. So that would be great. It might not be the full game co-op, but just like at least boss battles doing co-op would be a lot of fun. Again, like Ghost of Tsushima, where it's got that co-op mode where you're going through specified co-op missions and it's a blast. It's great. And they released that for free. Now, I believe you can buy it extra for like $20, and if they want to go that route, that'd be phenomenal. I'm not going to complain, and I feel like most people wouldn't. But going the full remake $70 route, I mean, most people so far that are reacting to this are like, why? Why are you doing this? And that's kind of the same vibe that I got when I looked at this news. It wasn't something that I was really excited about. It's not something that a lot of people are jumping up and down about and have been asking for. It's just something that Sony's kind of throwing out there. And they're like, well, let's see if people will buy our game again for a $10 increase in price. So those are my quick thoughts on the remake. Again, I'm not really hating on it. I'm more of confused and hoping that they don't go the $70 route, though we know they will because it's Sony and that's just what they've been doing lately. Again, I'm not against remasters and remakes. I love them back when they were, I don't know, something that we're really interested to pick up, like God of War 1 through 3, Sly Cooper 1 through 3, Jack and Daxter 1 through 3, Ratchet and Clank. I mean, they have done this before, but it was for like a reasonable price, and it was for a collection of games. Now it's just one, and it's kind of, I don't know, iffy, I guess. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Of course, like the video and subscribe for more content. And as always, have a fantastic day. See everybody.